Hello everyone, Kilryan here, bringing you another video, or the second part of the series, regarding the basics of Tera, the new completely free-to-play MMORPG, which easily rivals World of Warcraft, Rift, any of the top MMOs out there now. I feel that the market is progressing towards this free-to-play kind of microtransaction thing, but it is not pay to win. You can become the best player on the server just by signing up and putting some time in. You know what I mean? Alright, and this video I wanted to go over the classes that are available to play within Tera. You know, a lot of people always curious about the classes. A lot of people have those, you know, like, oh man, I've always played an archer. You know, I love archers, I love bows, I love shooting people at range. As anyone who might be an old school subscriber of mine knows from my hunter videos and whatnot. And there is a class for that just for me, you know, just to fit my playstyle. Alright, but anyways, I will go into the human female, and I'll toss a link if you want to check out more of the races that are available in Tera, but this is the class overview video. Alright, to jump right on in, Warrior. Warrior is a very agile, possible tank class. They use leather, however, their primary thing is more about damage. They're not about the big hits, though. They're about a lot of really smaller hits, a lot of mobility, a lot of stuns. Warrior is an absolutely excellent PvP class if anyone is interested in that. I personally actually have a main as a warrior. You know, like I said, I love archers, but warrior just really clicked with me. It's a lot like the rogue in World of Warcraft. It says the player skill required is 5 stars, which is the only class in Tera to have 5 stars. I believe that that is strictly based on the tanking perspective. Warriors don't really get into groups as tanks. They can tank all the way up to max level, and they can probably tank all content. However, it is better to have a Lancer, just because warriors are very mobile, and to tank they also have to be jumping around a lot, giving a lot of downtime as far as DPS for your group. But it is possible. In PvP, your primary role is being a lockdown class, pretty much. You have a Shadow Step type ability that will launch you straight onto the target that you have targeted. Mind you, this game you actually have to aim your spells and whatnot, so you actually have to have a person like targeted with your crosshair to move over there and hit that specific person. You get used to it really quickly though. But you have a ton of stuns that are available. Backstab instantly stuns the target, and then you have an ability called Cascade of Stun, which spreads the stun that you applied to that target to everyone else it hits. Warriors, not really that burst class. It's a lot of tiny hits, or not tiny, but you know, not like I'm a fucking one-shot you sort of a thing. But you're more of that control class. You're more of that utility class in PvP. However, there is a buff going on on the Tera end, which will be brought over to the US. Alright, and let's progress on to Lancer. Lancer is your typical tank class. As you can see, plate wear, heavy armor, big shield, huge weapon. Lancers are the tank. Lancers are also the control in PvP as well. Your mobility isn't quite as strong as let's say the warrior or the slayer. However, you still have a bit of mobility. Your damage output is definitely not high at all, but you actually have chains. Like, you can chain people in and grip them to you. It's like a death grip, except there's an AoE death grip. There's a bunch of features like that, and Lancers are an absolute necessity for any PvE group, and actually an absolute necessity for PvP as well. I highly recommend anyone who likes that tank role. Lancers are really solid. Mind you, you also have to actually raise your shield. You have to hit your right mouse button to raise your shield and block that attack. It is real-time action combat, which is just an absolutely innovative method of playing an MMORPG, and absolutely perfect in my opinion. Alright, so I think that's a good overview for the Lancer. Slayer. Slayer is the in-between Warrior and Berserker. Slayers use that two-hander. They have fairly quick strikes. They have a decent utility kit of stuns. However, their damage is much much higher as far as a burst or like hard hits than a warrior, but they don't have the absolute crazy mobility and absolute, like, you know, 4 different stuns that a warrior has. Slayer is definitely a really popular class as a whole. Pretty solid in PvP. Their combos that they can land on people are pretty good. Like, I know, let's see, they have a spin around strike, which will stun you, or it'll spin you around and stun you in the process. Then they have a backflip kick, which I've seen a lot of, which they do. And then they have like a lunge forward stab. And if they pull off that combo perfectly, it does a lot of damage to you, as well as having a fairly high overall impact modifier. In other words, chance to knock you down if they land a hit on you or mobs. Like I said, a lot of people enjoy Slayer. It's the good medium between warriors that are hitting really fast and berserkers who are hitting really slow. It's pretty much just their baby, I guess. And if you enjoy PvP, I highly recommend looking into this class. They can't tank or anything, they are a pure DPS class, but it is definitely one of the more played and, by most people's perspective, more fun classes in Tera. Alright, and as I was talking, Slayer being the baby of the Berserker and Warrior, let's move on to the Berserker. Berserkers. Berserkers are the... I'm going to one-shot you, like, hit exceptionally hard with one strike. They're very slow-moving. Their mobility is really limited. However, their strikes are absolutely fantastic with really high impact modifiers as well. The way Berserker combat works is they actually charge their strikes. And there's green charge, yellow charge, red charge, and flashing red charge, which is overcharge. And there are different glyphs to actually increase the speed at which you charge and whatnot, which increase the each charge, overcharge that they do, the more damage it deals. So, but it costs them health though when they start overcharging different ability or some of their abilities. I am currently leveling a Berserker. It is an extremely fun class with extremely good AoE capability as far as physical goes, and pretty much like you two-shot stuff as a Berserker, but once again, you are limited on mobility. Berserkers have a feature though called Axe Block, or a skill called Axe Block. Much like the Lancer with the raising their shield, Berserkers will plant their axe in the ground and actually get a blocking ability. It's kind of to make up for their lack of mobility. It allows them to stay in the fight without having to move around the whole entire time, you know what I mean? And it's definitely a really key feature in PvP. I see Berserkers being very strong in PvP recently. As they get their gear, they scale extremely well. Lots of burst. Or lots of like hard bursts. So if they land that hit and they get a fair combo on you, you're probably going to die. That's how a Berserker is. Alright, moving on to the Sorcerer. Sorcerer, just as you would expect, it's a Sorcerer. Sorcerers do a lot of the whole, they're very squishy, they're cloth wares, you know. Oh, and Berserkers are plate wares, by the way. So Sorcerers, clothware, you know, fairly limited mobility. However, extremely good AoE capability, as well as extremely good burst. Their combos that they can set up on players can almost global them as well. They're squishier than the Berserker though, so that's what, like, as a warrior in PvP, you go for that Sorcerer. You get that, like, dive in on that Sorcerer, keep him from slaughtering, from AoEing your entire team. But if you enjoy the caster kind of route where you're definitely more squishy, you do have a couple of escapes, but you have a lot of spell damage nuking, a lot of really good ranged nukes. Sorcerer is definitely, and Sorcerer is also probably the best PvE DPS in the game. So Sorcerer is definitely a absolutely fantastic class that a lot of people, anyone who likes that kind of playstyle, likes being the mage, will love, absolutely love Sorcerer, because you can blow people up as well as mobs. Alright, and moving into Archer. Archer, typical Archer. One thing to note though, Archers in this game are definitely a little bit shorter of a range in comparison to what you would expect. However, archers in PvP are fantastic. Their skill combos allow them, they have such a good melding of abilities. You get in melee range, they have 2 stuns which are available. They have multiple traps which you can launch or place at your feet, which give you a stronger stun on the target. And then they actually have the overcharge feature, much like Berserkers, where if you're overcharging that ability, you will, and they're next to their target, say they get you in that stun shape, they kick you in the face, get that stun, they plant the trap on you, get that stun on top of it, then they charge up an arrow, an extremely hard-hitting arrow, pops you right in the face, and it guaranteed will knock your ass on the ground if they're close in the stun. And then can continue just kiting. They have slowing arrows. They have just overall really good a PvP toolkit. PvE, they're probably on the lower DPS end currently. However, like, the thing is though, is archers keep themselves out of harm's way, which is a major feature about archers, because an alive DPS is much more beneficial than a dead DPS. Alright, moving on to the last 2 classes, Priest and Mystic. Both of these are the healing classes of Tera. Priests are a lot more of your staple healer. They have a lot of AoE healing, which you have to place, mind you, as well as an attack power buff. They got the big heals. Their CC that they have available is a ranged sleep skill, which is absolutely fantastic, especially with the introduction of the 3v3s arenas that they implemented. Priests can also buff their group with a power buff, which also benefits sorcerers. Power is just flat damage, and it's a fairly big AoE circle which they place, and it is definitely really solid. A good priest will keep that down and give your group a lot of damage. As far as raw healing, they have the capability to carry their group through their healing capabilities. And so pretty much just a pretty staple healer, you know. And a lot of people, they have a little bit more DPS than a Mystic as well, if you're looking to kind of kill some people as well. Alright, Mystic. Mystic is the more supporty kind of healer. They rely a lot more on their group. They can't necessarily carry a group, but they can offer a lot of utility and a lot of benefits, especially for the physical DPS groups. Basically, they have 2 different orbs. They have a Rejuve orb, which heals their health, which if people pick up, they place them on the ground. People can pick these orbs up. It cleanses them of a negative debuff, as well as healing, tossing like a Rejuve, you know, a heal over time effect on people. Definitely really solid. However, the key thing is, though, are 2 features regarding the Mystic. Mystics have mana spheres. Every class uses mana, and a lot of classes, the physical DPS classes, Slayers, Warriors, Berserkers, will actually end up running out of mana, and they have to auto-attack to regain it while they're fighting. However, if they have the mana battery of a Mystic backing them up, they can deal a lot more damage consistently. And a double crit chance aura that Mystics have, it increases your crit rating by double. But based on like Berserkers, Slayers, Warriors, Archers doing a lot more focus on the, a lot more focus on crit multipliers for PvE DPS as well as PvP DPS, Mystics offer a very good boost to group setups oriented around physical DPS. Once again, you have to kind of rely on your team. You don't have the AoE healing a priest has. You don't have the absolute like raw healing power a priest has. However, if your group is capable, a good Mystic can be very essential to core groups. So, that is all the classes that are available in Tera, and hopefully if you enjoyed the video, if you found it informative, please make sure to subscribe. And also, I stream very actively, as well, primarily Tera and League of Legends, on www.twitch.tv/Kilryan. Go make sure to follow me on there as well. But yeah, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube. I will be doing more videos. I plan on definitely showing in my next Tera video more of the combat end of the real-time action, and it is true real-time action. It's not this crappy, you know, blab of you know, so many other MMOs claim to be. Once again, Tera is completely free to play. Go check it out. You can get the register link as well as the download link down in this, down in the description, pretty much. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next video. Adios, everybody. Feel free to post comments and ask me any questions. I will do my best, my absolute best, to respond. If you want to see a specific class, if you want me to talk more about something, just, you know, type a comment. Alright, see y'all later.